Got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole wide world in your hands. You got the whole... Okay, so I'm back now for part 2 about the Saturn balance destiny line. And before we were talking about fixed destiny and when the destiny is not fixed. Now, there all can be all sorts of endings also to the Saturn line. So if the Saturn line ends in the middle of the palm, like underneath the headline, this is usually an indication of, well, in classical palmistry books they talk about the self-made man, but I more interpret it as there are issues in the person's life, there are challenges in the person's life that they need to figure out by themselves, that nobody can do it for them. They can gather information, they can hear what one has to say, but in the end that aha moment has to happen by themselves. They're the ones that have to figure it out. So there's nothing you can do. So I am looking at the Saturn line as a timeline, and I'm seeing where it ends and when new lines begin, and sort of making intuitive judgments about that. I am doing that. What else am I doing? So I'm looking where the line ends. So if the line ends in the middle of, which is the deep unconscious, as I said, that means the person has to figure out things in their life. Now, this is now getting into classical palmistry, which I can't really say I've confirmed or not confirmed it. Well, they say in classical palmistry that as the Saturn line ends on the headline, there's going to be misfortune due to wrong thinking. Not wrong thinking, but wrong decisions of the mind. And I see that more as the person's fortune is very much determined by the person's decisions or the way the person thinks. For example, a person can be very racist and lose their fortune because of their racist attitude, like if they would have backed this person, but they didn't because he was black or something, or whatever. So I see it more than that it could be good and also can be bad because you can make the right decisions, right? But classically, in classical palmistry, they'll say, no, that's bad. And then you have with the hotline ends at the hotline, the destiny line ends at the hotline, and this they say fortune can be affected by love. For example, you might have a person might have a lover, and you know that they're incompetent and not honest, but you love them and they ask you to borrow $10,000 and you give it to them and you lose the money. So fears of the heart, there can be losses of money. Now, I haven't totally confirmed that this is absolutely true, even though I will say this to people, that's what it classically means. So, I would say, well, if you really don't want to lose your money, then don't give this person the money. But if it doesn't matter to you, then do it. So that's sort of my explanations that I do that. Now, when that fortune line comes all the way up to the base of the Saturn finger, of course that's a good sign. It's showing strong destiny, good fortune, Very often you'll see the destiny line ending somewhere before the headline or after the headline or before the hotline, but then you see a lot of little lines and the amount of Saturn going upwards, and this is usually late development of wealth. So that's usually a good sign. And then you sometimes see the line going up to Saturn and then curving over to Jupiter. So when you see that usually means some development of wealth, but in a juicy way. Not like you just make money off of Apple stocks, or it would be like the person's a writer and became a little bit famous from it. Somewhere there'd be something juicy about that type of Saturn line. So you can see all sorts of variations. Now, when that Saturn line starts deep in the moon area, it shows that the soul is deeply connected to God, or whatever you want to call that truth that's within us. And the deeper that line is, the deeper it starts, the deeper the connection, the soul connection. And in fact, indeed, I call that, when there's a line that is coming from deep from the spiritual area, the moon spiritual area, I call that the hotline to God, because it shows that the person has met truth themselves. They've met truth themselves. They've been to the burning bush, so to speak, and seen God, seen truth, and they're able now to access it. And I also tell these people that their interpretation and their experience of truth is as valid as anybody else on this planet. And if you listen to some teacher and he says something that doesn't click with you, don't believe him. Trust your own intuition, trust your own knowledge. But it shows a very deep soul connection. And you'll see all sorts of variations where the spiritual line and the destiny and the material destiny line will come and merge or not. So there's all sorts of variations that you can, make an interpretation about, which we'll be talking about much later, about using these lines and using these landmarks and these anchors and these indicators to make an interpretation. So I will be devoting a little bit of videos about that. So that is the Saturn line. It's an important line, and it is a secondary line. And just to remind you what a secondary line is, these are lines in the hand that are just as important as the primary lines, but they're not necessarily there. Okay? So that ends my talk on the Saturn line, and the next we'll be talking about the sun and whatever else I can think of it during my next video. Okay, so thank you very much. This is Barak signing off, and I will see you. Bye-bye. Got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole